Okay, I think we're good to go. So, all right, well, welcome everybody. You all have co-host ability, so you can mute and unmute yourself. And I guess let's get things started. So we have two friends from the Friends of Woodfords Corner, Teresa Valier and, is it Olin or Olin?
Olin.
Olin and Olin. So I guess we'll just let you guys take it away.
Can we just do a quick intro for me, for you guys?
Nope.
I know some of you, but not everybody.
Nope, thank you. That's helpful. Yes. I'll start. John Thibodeau from the DCNA board. And I'll just kind of go around and pick people. Let's keep it going. So Amy, why don't you go next?
I'm Amy Thompson. Also, well, we're all on the board.
We
right?
are on the board, that's right.
Yeah. So I live on Leland Street.
Are you the Porch Fest person?
I help organize Porch Fest, yes.
Okay.
Karen?
I'm Karen Wilson. I am live right on the edge of Deering Center and a member of the board.
Sheila?
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Sheila.
Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Colin?
Hey guys, Colin Epps, Vice President of the board and over on Maple Street.
Thanks, Colin. Allison?
I'm Allison Kenway on the board. I'm from Richardson Street.
Thanks. Terry?
Terry Petnov, and I live right on Leonard Street, which is the edge of Evergreen Cemetery.
Let's see, Bobby?
Hi, Teresa. Hi, Bobby.
And Zach?
Hi, I'm Zach Enright. I live over on Fuller Street. I also work up at UNE.
Great.
And Dennis just joined us. Dennis, can you just say hello, who you are? You should be able to unmute yourself too, but that's nice.
Dennis and I have met. We've talked many times.
You know each other. Okay, good.
There, now unmute.
All right, welcome, welcome. So yeah, Olin and Teresa, why don't you just tell us about yourselves, whatever you'd like to talk about, and we can just gonna have a free-flowing conversation, questions, whatever you want to do.
So I got very daring, and I actually updated a little PowerPoint about Woodfords Corner. Can I do that? I'm a co-host, right? I've never done this, you guys. Say a prayer for me. Okay.
You should be able to, yes.
Okay, wait a minute. Share screen, right? So if I share screen, there we go. And that's it. And I can just kind of walk you through who we are.
Sure.
We started in 2015. A bunch of neighbors, mostly on Revere Street, were dealing with a problem that we got solved. And then we were left with this mailing list. And we were like, wow, let's solve some more problems. So then we started cleaning up the railroad tracks, and then we were like, well, let's have a party. So then we did more. And then it just started, it has now sort of expanded in a way that I never anticipated when we first started. So we started in 2015. We got our nonprofit status in 2017. We became a Main Street affiliate in 2019, and I can say a little bit more what that means. We have a board of 15 seats. Currently, we have 10 members on the board. Our newsletter followers are about 800, maybe more, I'm not sure. Same thing with Facebook and Instagram. We have lots of sponsors and partners, donors and volunteers, and we have interns and graduate students. Olin, who's sitting in with us, Olin Jenner, is the graduate student from the Muskie School, and he's going to be with us until next May, if not longer. People tend to think of Woodfords Corner as just this intersection. We don't. We think of it much broader than that. When we decided to create Friends of Woodfords Corner years ago, it was because the big construction plan was going to happen. And so actually a couple other people started a Facebook group just commenting on when this is done, are they going to consider things like sidewalks and the pedestrian experience, not just the experience for the automobiles. As you guys all know, Forest Avenue is a major highway. It belongs to the Maine Department of Transportation. So they're in charge of how that works. So having a highway run through the middle of your little neighborhood is a bit of a challenge. But so the Facebook group started, and then across Forest Avenue, a little while later, I had started the actual on the ground group, and then we just combined to get our forces together. So when we think about our area, we're talking about from here. So it's the circle. The center of the circle is Woodfords Corner intersection. And we chose a half-mile walking distance. That's because in modern urban design now for walkable cities, people will pretty much walk about a half mile or about a 10-minute walk for an able-bodied person to a center or to something they need. Ideally, all the stuff you need is clustered in that center place. So that a little village would have, you know, a place to shop, a place to worship, a place for art, for music, for, you know, to get your clothes cleaned, etc. So the idea of village. So we decided to say, well, what if it were everything a 10-minute walk right to the corner or towards the corner is where we focus on. When you also look at this map, what you'll notice is that it's actually a lot of different neighborhood associations are here that we conflate, so we overlap. For instance, Deering Center, almost a quarter of this is Deering Center neighbors. Another big, almost probably 2/5 maybe of the whole thing is maybe more, almost half, is actually Back Cove Neighborhood Association. Some of this is also Woodfords Oakdale. Some of it is Rosemont. There's another new neighborhood association called Deering Highlands, which isn't quite big yet going, but it also is included in this area. The reason we decided to be this overlapping is because all these neighborhoods kind of ended at the busy streets, which kind of carved up the area into these little pie pieces based on which wedge you're in. And we said, well, what if we looked at this as a village and they're all connected? So if you see, like, those are the wedges of the main thoroughfares, and they all have commercial zoning, all of them. So it's not one main street here. They all have some commercial zoning, if not all commercial zoning. So that's what it looks like in the satellite. This is what we want. We want a village experience. You guys in Deering Center actually can feel that. When I walk over to Pat's Meat Market, or I go over to, I'm a beekeeper, so I go to the honey exchange all the time. I walk in Baxter Woods. I go over there a lot, and it feels villagey right there. And it's really nice. You know, that church and shops. We want the same thing, but we have a much bigger and more complicated traffic patterns to deal with and much more volume of traffic. The intersection itself is actually the second busiest intersection in the state of Maine. So it's just like, this is going to be a constant constraint for us in our hopes. So we want it to be walkable. We want it to be useful, as in there are businesses that the locals will use there. Safe, like both crossing the street safe, like not get hit by a car, but well lit for at night. Snow cleared in the winter so that we can actually get to where we're trying to go without having to walk in the major thoroughfares. We want it to be pleasant, right? Interesting, attractive, fun, welcoming, and green. We decided in 2019 to apply for Main Street affiliate status. And we did that. Main Street, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with what Main Streets are? Part of the National Trust for Historic Preservation about 35 or 37 years ago started to help Main Street, which had pretty much died out because of, you know, the suburbia and malls. That whole way that the pattern just kind of emptied out downtowns, they started to preserve downtowns, try to preserve the historic value of historic buildings, but also to revitalize them and to engage people to use Main Streets. So trying to the revitalization of urban commercial districts. There's a lot of Main Streets in Maine, actually. They're all through the Maine downtown center, but it is a national, designation. And through the Maine downtown center, they work with different levels. So there's, as you can see, the stars are all the ones that have full Main Street community. Those are staffed Main Street organizations. So they have paid staff. Downtown affiliates, which is what Woodfords Corner is. We are all volunteer based. We'd love to be staffed. We're still working on that. So, and then there are community connections who also are organizations or little downtowns that are trying to look at how do they revitalize. The downtown center is our technical support. So not only did we join them as an affiliate, we had to apply to be accepted. Certain components had to be in place, but they are our technical assistants. So they give us a lot of technical assistance about revitalization. What we want basically is we want to influence the design of public spaces. Everything from sidewalks to public spaces like greens, to traffic patterns for bicycles, for the city projects. We want to influence the design of public spaces. We really want to support the economic vitality. That means supporting existing businesses and attracting new businesses that the neighborhoods would want. We'd also like to do lots of engaging community, as many engaging community activities we can get, because what we want to do is people to see this as a village worth working for. That's one of the really lovely things watching Deering Center over the last several years, is watching how Deering Center has lots of really lovely community events. We also do websites, newsletter, Facebook and Instagram. So that's unimportant. We do a lot of these different events. So some of them partnerships, like this was with Greater Portland Landmarks and the Oddfellows building, which is the clock tower building. So we did a history of Woodfords Corner. They presented that. And this was one of our first events back in 2016. And we expected maybe 50, 60 people. We got over 120 people, literally just by putting out, please come learn about the corner. And the cool thing was there were people who weren't new to the corner, but there were people who had grown up here who were telling the funniest stories about sneaking into the buildings and like all this stuff from in the 50s and 60s. So it was a really nice community event. Plus people got to see a tour of that historic landmark. We did mural celebrations with artists and craftsmen and when the new Speedwell Gallery came in. We do the railroad track. This year was the 6th annual railroad track. We are apparently, Pan Am tells us, we are the only neighborhood who does this. We clean up the tracks from Forest Avenue to Brighton, which is quite a stretch. We've got it down to, we do it with half dozen volunteers and we get it done in about 2 hours once a year. And it's just nice. I mean, it all started because I had to keep walking by nasty trash just to go buy coffee and I couldn't take it anymore. So, but now it's become a regular event that everybody appreciates. We've done some Shop Small events in 2017 and well, actually that was 2018 we did it. We didn't do it in 19. Trying to get people to go to the local places. One of the things people have told us consistently is they're kind of afraid to cross Forest Avenue. So there might be a nice business over there, but you kind of like you're afraid. It's better since that big construction project, but it's still, you know, a little tense getting across. So we're trying to work with the city, but also encourage people to have a good reason to cross the street and to really mix and use the businesses here. We do a lot to help with Trinity Park. Right in front of Trinity Church on Forest Avenue, there's a teeny tiny triangle green space with a fountain. That's actually one of the 68 city parks. But there's no signage and no seating, so nobody knows that. But we've been working with the church, who's been doing it for 50 years, taking care of the park. We've been helping them because they're aging and not able to really do it. And also the city has really supported our efforts. And now actually we just learned that we're going to get a bus shelter there, which we've been asking for 3 years, and a trash can. So, you know, little things just to make this a little bit nicer spot. There, last year, we actually also wanted to encourage public awareness that that's actually a city park. So for each third Thursday for 4 months, we ran third Thursdays at Trinity Park, which was just games and music and food, little artists selling their wares, just a little neighborhood mixer. We do Corner Fest in the fall, and that's with Woodfords Congregational Church. And it's a way also for all the local businesses and nonprofits just to share what they do. It's also, we had a ton of music and arts and crafts and games. Again, mixers. And we want people to mix from the 4 neighborhoods so that they get to the idea of there's a hub, but we also like to move our events around the neighborhood so that people really spread out and think about this as a place that they want to really own. We did Design Your Neighborhood last year. This was a really big project to have people do an interactive map. It was an 8 by 8 foot map where like 2 scale of Woodfords Corner, where people could come with dry erase markers and write all over it what they wanted in Woodfords Corner. That was with Portland Society of Architecture. So Yeah, that's plenty. I mean, we do all that, and when we help all this behind the scenes stuff that we do too. So now, like, we have the internship program or the graduate assistant program with Maine Economic Improvement Fund. That's through the Muskie School of Planning and Policy Planning and Management. Is that right, Olin? He's in there. So, all right, how do I shut this part off? There we go. I hope you could see that. Did it work?
Yay!
Yay! I'm so psyched. Okay.
Nice.
So, questions, thoughts? A lot of you guys have been to some of these events already. I think I've seen you guys there, right? And Sheila played at some of our events.
Yeah, it's been really fun. They're great, high energy events.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking maybe two types of questions, just questions out of curiosity, but maybe also questions about maybe what are ways that we could work together.
Mm-hmm.
So just tossing that out there.
Great. Can I ask, just to refresh me, you guys were like, all these different events were happening there, but you guys kind of grouped, right?
Yep.
Okay. When did you do that officially?
2 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, there was a number of different events going on, and all of them that people that were involved with them all joined the board and made the DCNA events.
That's great. Yeah. I used to go to most like those events. So I was always like, wow, man, who's doing all this over here? So
yeah, we got some good people in our hood.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I was wondering if Olin could tell us a little bit about what he does for the group.
So I'm a graduate student at the Muskie School. My graduate assistantship started 3-4 weeks ago now. So I've been doing onboarding. I've been helping with the CRM program, Maestro, getting that up and running and updated. Today, I basically just walked the corner, handing out some literature and just introducing myself to businesses and seeing if there's anything that people need, if there's any way that we can help keep businesses in business in the corner. So that was really fun, I found. There's a lot of cool businesses out there that I had no idea were even there. So yeah, theoretically I'll be here till, I think it goes till May 8th, and then we'll see about the summer. But yeah, it's been fun so far.
Last year we started, just to fill in the back, before we got Olin, we had a project with the university. We were the neighborhood project for the policy planning and management course. So the whole semester, a whole course of graduate students focused on Woodfords Corner. And we met with them, we were essentially their clients as consultants for policy planning and management. And then they followed these trails for us where they did this beautiful work on different projects. They did a feasibility study to be a BID, Business Improvement District. They did a parking inventory and interactive parking map, actually, which is amazing. And they did business questionnaires. And so then we took all of that. We had a graduate assistant that continued from there last fall into January. And Neil, he was working with us. He was also doing more outreach, more economic vitality outreach, kind of what Olin's doing now. And then COVID happened and he had to leave. So it interrupted our flow. But what Olin's also mentioned working on is our CRM. Our CRM is our community management system. So it's essentially managing all the contacts we have. There are about 250 businesses in Woodfords Corner in that walkable area. So it's like overwhelming, actually, because there are just so many here. And how do we then help them support, reach out, help promote them, get to know them? What do they need? It's a big project just to get all that information to a special database. Our CRM is built for Main Street organizations. So that's what Olin's doing now, is really scrubbing all of that and then updating all our information.
Dennis, you had a question?
Yeah. Hi, Teresa.
Hey, Dennis.
You mentioned that the rebuild of the corner was a big improvement, but you mentioned that it's still very challenging. Is there another step up that can or might happen to improve that, or has it kind of plateaued, the walkability of that plateaued, and then you have to work with the cards you're dealt with?
I'd say that as far as like massive planning, like big construction projects, the Department of Transportation is kind of done with us. But the city of Portland is working with us. We work with the transportation department a lot, and we've just found out that there's like 2 crosswalks that we've been begging for that are going to be added about a block out in the Trinity Park area. That's just going to be greatly improved, because right now they're like, I don't know if you've ever walked across the crosswalk near Mr. Bagel.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just a target, man. You are.
It's really scary. My office is
so
right
dangerous.
next to Mr. Bagel.
So dangerous. So that we finally got approval, but it's a big deal to make this stuff happen. I mean, we've been asking for it. There have to be all these studies to see what happens. Plus, it also interferes with a property owner, the change they want to make. But they finally are kind of moved for that. They're going to do a new. So we're looking at now very targeted, like specific crosswalks versus changing major patterns of traffic. Even the city is just like, Department of Transportation is the driver here. The city really, I believe, having sat in on so many of those meetings, I'm pretty impressed with how the city pushed back to get a lot out of that project. Than I think Department of Transportation ever was going to do if the city hadn't pushed so hard. But still, ultimately, Department of Transportation wants to get 26,000 commuters through here fast every day. So, yeah.
Can I ask one, John? Or do I actually have 2, but.
Go for it.
Hi, Teresa.
Okay.
That's Colin. So 2 questions, but they're unrelated. One, and maybe I missed this, but are you fundraising from businesses throughout that circle for Friends for Woodford Corners, or for the Friends? And if so, we should probably have a conversation, since that's also as you acknowledged, our neighborhood boundary for a quarter, and we're also planning on targeting some of those businesses for fundraising. And so I kind of wondered, yeah, are you doing that? And if so, any thoughts on coordination so we're not duplicating?
Well, we don't actually ask any of the businesses in Deering Center for any funding.
Okay.
That stretch, I consider it's the center of your center, right? That's like not ours. So, and our commercial districts actually don't go all that way. It turns into residential when it goes out towards Deering Center, towards Deering, what's the word? Stevens Avenue. When you hit Stevens Avenue, right? That's all residential as far as we're concerned, right? Because then you're the center of the next little village hub. So we don't ask those businesses for anything. We do ask the local businesses here along our commercial strips if they want to support us. We did not do this. We made a deliberate decision in 2020 not to ask them for any money, because businesses were shutting down left and right around here. And we're like, we're just not going to hit them up in the most stressful year of probably their lives, and also ours. So we decided not to pursue that. But in the past, what we have done is ask for donations. We call them sponsorships from businesses, in very small amounts, actually. Then we put up their logo, we put a link to their page, right? We announce them in the newsletter. And then they get a little bit of promotion basically from that. Then we have event sponsors as well. So for the larger events, we would ask for sponsors. Benchmark was Third Thursday sponsor. I think that was it for big ones. So we don't, we don't ask for the businesses from out there.
Let me just jump in. So there is a stretch though along Woodfords, like Woodford F&B, and then all the way up. Yep. Forest Avenue too and I think we were reaching out. So I think it might make sense for us just to talk and just, couldn't hurt to just coordinate. And I think that's a good point, Colin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually I forgot about that area, but yeah. And Birchen, there's like just a few handful of businesses up Woodford Street that do that, yeah. And then you guys, do you consider any of Forest Avenue part of Deering Center?
It is, so that's our border. So one side of the street, I guess southern side of the street.
Can you project
Yeah,
the map?
Baxter Avenue
down,
side.
Could you pull up the map and project it later? Just if we have time.
Yep, I can do that while you guys are talking. I can try anyway.
That'd be great, because I think just like Teresa, your presentation was awesome to get some spatial scope and activity scope. I think it'd be good for us to show spatial scope. So my second question was that it looked like you guys, or you did do a successful candidates forum for District 4, I think, right?
We did District 4, right? And then we did at large, because at large also affects us a lot.
And so I wonder what your appetite for coordinating, doing joint ones in the future, because having done two already, it takes a lot of work, and our board is stretched to pull them off. And I think we could attract more attention and have more staffing to do them together. Right. So not like a maybe just a check-in that we could just check in once we're each thinking, each election season about coordination. Sometimes it may make sense, sometimes it doesn't.
Right. And we did do our last two forums with Back Cove Neighborhood Association, because a lot of District 4, right? A lot of Back Cove neighborhood is in District 4, and they are part of ours. So we partner with them, but we'd be happy to do shared forums. The more community engagement we can get. And I think so much of everything that gets a lot of focus is actually on Peninsula. So to really help us focus off Peninsula into the different, really very specific neighborhoods. So yeah, so you guys hit, oh my gosh, yeah, you cross over Forest Avenue, cross the river. I need to cross the river. It feels like a river.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my point, is that we're really targeting that Forest Ave corridor, as well as like the core of Deering Center businesses. As people reach out to as potential supporters. So
that's great. Yeah, we've got a couple projects going right now. Like we're supporting Hanuman Grocery. They asked for help on the redesign of their store and how they can promote more. So we were we're working with them, that family, also helping to encourage them to apply for some facade improvement and grants. And yeah, so any way that we can share the load, we're all volunteer, man. We'd love to share the load on joint. It didn't seem in the past that any of the neighborhood associations had the interest or the capacity to try to support businesses. I mean, residents were kind of first priority. And because we know that the residents are kind of covered by the neighborhood associations, we thought, oh, we can really focus on this and partner with the neighborhood associations.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other side of that coin, right? Is that you guys are doing a really good job of outreach. So, maybe we need to rethink how we approach businesses. Maybe we approach them with friends of Woodfords Corners.
Right.
So, yeah.
Teresa, I had a question. This is Terry. Do you have insurance for your board?
No, we don't yet.
And how do you raise money to support you as an organization?
So there's a three-legged stool model for funding in Main Street organizations. And our hope is to actually get to that full kind of three legs. We haven't got the three legs yet. One is corporate or business sponsorship. And that's been our primary. The first few years, we just asked money from local businesses. They loved what we were doing. They're like, oh, you guys are the ones that pick up the railroad tracks. Cool. Yeah, we'll give you money. I'm like, okay, great. So we did it with businesses mostly. Then the second stool is supposed to be residential or private donors, of which we've not gotten many. We've got some, but not a lot. And so this year we did more private donor asking, which we did our Together We Can lawn sign things. Just please make a donation to us and we'll walk over a lawn sign to you. Because the idea that we don't want to, again, badger people, but if people have, once they have a few dollars in the pot, they kind of have a little more ownership. Mm-hmm. The third one is to go for municipal funding. And this is what we've been doing over time, is as we've been working each year, we're tracking what we're doing so that we can walk to the city at some point. Because essentially we're doing what economic development would do for the city. And while they are lovely and try to be helpful, they are not on the ground like we are. And because they're looking at the whole city and they're looking at things like, you know, development of bringing in an industrial park or something like that. We're like, well, yeah, that's nice. I want to help Mr. Bagel and Little Woodfords and the restaurants and the small shops. So we're really so hyper focused that we're doing economic development, which only helps the city for the larger comprehensive plan ideas. So we hope to get that. We were going to ask for it in 2020, but I'm not asking them for money now. So we hope to ask them in 2021 to start a 1/3 of funding for us and ideally get staffed and have an office. That would be our 2021 goals.
Wow.
Bobby, you had a question or comment? Unmute. Can't hear you, Bobby.
I just wanted to congratulate Teresa because I think she's done an amazing job. And I think that Friends of Woodford's Corner is just a great model for, we're going to be a little bit different than Friends of Woodford's Corner. I don't think our focus would be the same, but I just think you're doing a fantastic job and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, I think I can say we all Teresa, what I'm thinking too is, you know, I think our two organizations are pretty vibrant organizations, and we're neighbors. So maybe even we just have like a check-in call. I mean, when we can actually meet in person again, maybe we grab coffee.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, what are you looking at? What are ways to help support each other? Just staying in touch, and because I think we share a lot of the same values and goals, and have a lot of good energy, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we think that too. One of the things that, like I think I've mentioned to you, John, and before, if there are things going on in Deering Center, people will walk over there if they know about it, right? And I think they will even cross Forest Avenue to get there. Right? I mean, there are things worth doing that. And I really think the idea of little hubs all over the city that are you can easily get to really makes the city more vibrant overall.
Yeah.
And really, but a sense of place, each one has its own character. I mean, Deering Center has its character, Woodford's Corner has its character. And how do we really highlight that placemaking?
Yeah, definitely.
We would love to have regular contact. I don't know if that would be you, John, or somebody else from the board who would want to be a regular. Ideally, at some point, we'd love to have a neighborhood association from each neighborhood, like on the board. That would be one of our hopes, because we don't want to be doing things and then find out, oh my God, we just duplicated, or we could have involved you guys and we missed it because we didn't know enough. Our one board member that was on WONA actually has stepped down. So now I don't have a WONA person. So yeah, if you guys want to think about that, if somebody, or even rotating, having a rotating where you guys are in on what's going on.
How often do you meet?
The board meets monthly. And then we have several committees that are running. So we have an active transportation committee that's really working on advocating for safer sidewalks, you know, better street lighting, pedestrian level street lighting. As you know, if you walk some sections, it's really creepy out there in the dark. And, you know, safety for bicyclists, bus stop shelters, that kind of stuff. So that's active transportation. Economic development or economic vitality is another one. This is the outreach to businesses. And promotions. Then another one is communications, which is really just about all our website, all the ways we get the word out. And then events, when we can ever do events again. So it's a very sad thing. I mean, I'm sure you guys are feeling it.
It's such a sad thing. I'm just looking at the time. I'm thinking we could probably talk for at least an hour longer, but we have to kind of wrap it up, this portion. But I just want to thank you, Teresa and Olin, for coming, and for all the work you're doing, and for sharing it with us and having a really nice conversation. And I'm confident this will be the first of, or we've talked before, but maybe on a consistent basis.
I'd love to put out also the invitation to have somebody come and talk to the rest of my board too. So sure. That would be, I know that the more people we know, the better it all works. And then we take over what we want. We're building the villages we want to retire in, right? Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome to stay with us, but you don't have to.
Oh, no, I'm going. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Olin, see you tomorrow.
All right, that was great. So I guess just while we're there, well, maybe we bring it up at the next time, but would anyone else like to communicate with her on a regular basis? I'm happy to do it. But if somebody else would like to do that, maybe I'll just offer it and we can figure it out another time.
I had just one thought about that is that, you know, we could also, maybe we have someone on their board and they have someone on ours eventually, but we could also, instead of just sharing like detailed minutes, we could write a summary after each meeting and share it with them, just like a overview of what we're looking at, and ask them to do the same. And that could be included on our minutes, would be a little summary from Friends of Woodfords Corner's last meeting. That's just an option that would keep us connected in that way.
I also think that their events should go on our calendar for sure. That would be such an easy way to get the word out, because I had no idea any of those events were going on. I've been around. I can't believe I'd never heard of them.
Got to cross the river, Terry.
I guess.
The river of traffic. Yeah, my office is at Woodfords Corner, and it was just crazy during their construction. And I was like, oh, it's going to be so much easier to cross the river because I go to Walgreens and Big Sky, and it's just still hell. It's just really hard.
We can continue this a little bit later. I think we got to kind of get to business. We don't have a lot of time, and someone from UNE we think is going to be coming. So quickly, did anyone have a chance to review the minutes? Are there any edits to them that people would like to make? Okay, is there a motion to adopt the minutes from last month's meeting? Someone, yes?
Yes.
Right. Allison and Amy seconds. Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you, Zach, for doing those. The candidate forums. Just a quick couple of numbers. We got just under 1,000 views for both events combined, which is pretty good. Doesn't mean people watch the whole thing, but it means they watch some of it at least. And I know in talking to people and candidates as well that it was used by people. So great job. And I just wanted to give that quick update and just see if there are any questions, discussion points, things to do differently, things we did well, if anyone wanted to discuss. Or not.
That's great.
Dennis?
Just thanks again to the folks that put in the time and the effort to make it happen. Much appreciated.
Yes.
We have a guest.
Yes. I would just add too, it was very helpful, I'd have to say.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super happy to do that, and and thanks to everyone that helped for District 5. And I guess I would say, yeah, I'd love to, I think the best way to maybe get more interest is have it be in person and not in Zoom, right? But I do think it's an important function that we play. I think we've done a pretty good job on the ones that we've done so far all together. And yeah, so I think one way to make it better over time might be teaming up across neighborhood associations. But yeah, I'd love to hear other suggestions. It certainly could make it more lively with like live questions, but there's good reasons to not make it lively, as you could tell from the District 5. It's some, sensitive topics and folks that could talk if they are given the mic.
Yeah, and just one thing to think about too, the Charter Commission will probably be coming up, and that's going to be pretty intense, I think. So there'll be 9 elections. There'll be 3 at large, right? Let's see, 5 each for a district, 5 and 3 at large, I think. I want to say 8. So we would have 2 districts in our neighborhood again, as well as 3 at large. So that will be happening sometime probably in the spring or early summer. So that's the next, we can maybe be a little bit more proactive about thinking about that. So anyway, any other just comments or questions or thoughts about the forums? Okay, I agree. I think it was a really good public service, and good group effort and good products. We did a good job. Okay, so moving forward, logo update. Yes, okay. So this will be my second time I've shared something. So so the committee, as I put in the notes, we had many meetings. We had a very gracious professional designer who volunteered, God knows how many hours for us, and he's still going to be volunteering more. And so it was a lot of give and take, as I said, a lot of compromise, good working process. This is our product. We brought it to the board pretty close to being done a month or two ago. And now this is kind of our final product. So I'm going to show it, share it, and I'm going to ask not to give commentary on this looks good or that, you know, or critiquing, I guess. You can praise it. There's no critique. And then we're just going to go to a vote. And if we approve it, fantastic. And then we can go from there. And if not, that's okay too. If people are just not okay with it, that's okay too. And we can go back and make some revisions. So let me see if I can get that up. Okay. All right, can folks see that? Okay, so there are, this is like the logo, but then there's two different options, and there can be many others in the future too. Like we can change colors, we can move stuff around, but I think I can do this. This is really blurry. It's just because it's a lower quality image, but this might be used for something where you need more of a rectangular, like a letterhead or something. So it's just a slightly different. And then baseball hats is going to be one of the things that we can do. It's really cool. And so this is what it would kind of look like. Let me get the other one. I can't drag it over. Let's see. My computer is freezing on this, but anyways, you can kind of get an idea. I don't know why it's not letting me change the size. Hold on 1 second. Let's try that again. Okay, we'll go back to that. So, and I'll just quickly walk through. I think a lot of you weren't at the meeting where we brought it back. So just to kind of walk through where this came from. So you can see with the pointer there, that's the Deering High Tower. And that is representing that. And Dennis was really invaluable in just kind of having us look through this at a lens and having a good process. So identifying kind of the values of the community and the neighborhood. So this is like our history and our traditions and architecture and beauty of buildings. The houses, you know, we're a residential neighborhood, a lot of homes, a lot of multi-units, pretty diverse housing stock. And then we have people, obviously, in the middle here. We're really a walking community, kids walking to school, walking dogs, going to the village, going shopping. And so that's also another value. And then the village itself. And so that's representative of the stores in the village that we're really, it's a unique, we're very unique neighborhood. And then the trees behind, you know, we really are blessed with amazing green space, including the largest, which is evergreen, but also Baxter Woods and the playing fields. So anyway, that was the thought behind it. I guess before I go, I should shut up. And if Allison and Dennis want to add anything before we put it out to a vote. Do you guys have anything you want to add? I can't see you, Dennis.
I'll add that at a previous meeting, there was some very good observations about the people. And so we responded that way and have multi-generations. We've had ages and activities and some, it looks like some generic, so they're not Anglo-centric.
Yes, yeah, that was important. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna put this off so we can see everybody. And so is there a motion to accept the logo? Okay, I see Sheila and there's a second, Monica. And all in favor of supporting or accepting this logo? Is anyone not okay? Okay. Okay, we have a logo.
Hey.
Woohoo!
Pretty cool. So the next really brief thing here is Victor is great. I mean, he knows all this stuff. So we've begun to look at, like, if you can have 12 of these sold, you can get a much lower price. If you get 15 or 20, and they're pretty, like, I think there are benchmarks that we can hit, and they hit across all different types of options. So you could have like 4 sweatshirts, 3 t-shirts, 2 long sleeve shirts, and they're all in the same category. So I think it will be achievable that we can do this. And what we wanted to ask you all too is if anyone is interested in that portion, which is left, which is maybe like choosing fabrics, choosing styles, that sort of thing. If anyone has strength in that area and would like to join us, you're very welcome to either speak up now or let us know later. But I think after this meeting, we'll be following up with Victor and probably going pretty immediately with this. So is there anyone just off the top that's interested in that sort of thing, design or clothing? Monica, great. Okay, if anyone else changes their mind, just let me know. Okay, Halloween activities. Not quite sure. So Colin, what were you thinking? You suggested this. I know we're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it.
Oh, sorry. Am I there?
Yep, go.
Yeah, so thanks. I think it'd be quick. I really appreciate what the Halloween committee did to put together some ideas. But as a parent of a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old who's talking to a lot of other parents, trick-or-treating is gonna happen in the neighborhood. And so wondered whether, and obviously some families are going to stay home, and some families are going, and hopefully all families are going to change their behaviors associated with Halloween. So the first thing was trying to get information, which Sean's already posted on our website, about, you know, main CDC guidelines and suggestions associated with trick-or-treating. So I think that's important and we should promote that. But I did want to bring to the group whether we wanted to have any additional statements to the neighborhood with regards to, you know, a reminder, if you don't want people on your steps, you know, turn off your lights. If you do, you know, make sure you look at these CDC guidelines and try to keep Halloween as safe as possible. So I think that's about it. I don't know that it requires any more action than you've already done, John, on behalf of DCNA, but I wanted to get it out there in case we did think, mainly because a couple of people have asked me, you know, whether we wanted any more affirmative guidelines or more proactive guidelines, I guess, than what's in the main CDC, which I think is quite good.
Yeah. What do folks think about that?
I have a thought about that, you know, not everyone's going to read the CDC guidelines necessarily. I mean, I think did you say they're up on our site?
They're on our website. Put them up on Facebook. I'll probably do it again, and they also were in our email too.
Okay, yeah. I was just thinking one other way to get the information out would be just to put it on just 8.5 by 11 flyer and like post it at the Q shop and on the PATS board and on some of the telephone poles possibly around. I'd be willing to do that, to post some around the neighborhood, just to kind of get folks who might not be online. Not everyone really spends a lot of time online.
That would be great if you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, Gila, if you're up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of buried, you know, and so parents are pretty busy right now trying to half homeschool and everything else, so they might miss it.
Right.
Sheila, if you have any problem finding the flyer, just let me know.
Okay, yeah.
It's in the last email, but also you can find it on the Facebook events, and it's on our website too.
Okay.
Other thoughts, or Bobby?
I'm gonna tell Sheila I'll help you put them up if you want.
Oh, that'd be awesome, Bobby. Yeah.
Great. What about specifically, one of the things Colin mentioned, you know, do we want to give any sort of guidance about like maybe turn your light off or something like that. Do we want to do something like that, or just let it sit? Or
I believe that was in the city guidelines, right? It did say like make sure that you keep your light off if you don't want people.
I didn't even remember. So okay.
I think so. I'd have to double check, but I definitely remember receiving something from an official body that.
Yeah, I don't doubt it was.
I can include that on the flyer.
Okay. Are people feeling like we need to step in though I think the flyers, that would be great. As far as any other sort of communications or maybe short statements or anything, do we want to do anything like that, or are we all set, or are there any feelings about that or thoughts? Okay, so we'll just stick with what we're doing. Is that, and with the activities that that have been already suggested, they will require repeated communications. And so every time we do that, we can also mention that and attach the flyer as well. So we'll make sure to do that.
Can we use the new logo at the top of the flyer?
I don't think that, I mean, we could, it would have to be, I mean, you could, if you have the ability to do it. It's a Portland Public Health CDC flyer. So
I see.
It's kind of graphicked out.
Okay, yeah.
You could probably copy it and paste it onto our own. But if you were so inclined, I'd say go for it.
Okay.
And I can send you the image of the logo.
Yeah, go ahead. Just in case I can put that together, I could include that information on a flyer with our logo. Yeah, there we go.
And I am feeling confident and that it is our role to share this information, but not necessarily to tell people what to do as far as trick-or-treating goes.
Right.
I feel like it's a very individual choice how people are responding to COVID. And I personally don't want to say this is what DCNA thinks you should do about trick-or-treating.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, why I really liked, when I found this, I'm sharing it now, but I thought, okay, this is a great, it's common sense. It's from Dr. Shah, who we all, I hope we all trust. And Sheila's idea of kind of getting this information out there more from the state rather than some kind of DCNA statement, I think is great.
Yeah, we could just take it as it is then.
Thank you, Colin, and thank you, Sheila. That's great. And Bobby, is there anything else about Halloween activities as far as discussion or questions?
Well, one thing is that Amy and I think you, John, as well, have been taking some images in the neighborhood for the scavenger hunt, bingo, whatever. But we're really encouraging people not to do it necessarily at night. They actually have to be done looking for things during the day. And it would be nice to stretch it out over the course of a week, because it is a large geographic area that we're covering. So I'm we'll have to figure out how to word that with people that we, and again, we don't want to add more pressure on families, but on the other hand, taking a walk in a neighborhood during the day to look for a certain pumpkin might be, could be pleasurable. Could be. Or like Colin, like when we saw you guys were on your bikes, you and your family.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. And I mean, it's lucky Halloween's a Saturday, but I think that encouraging people to get started before Saturday is great too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a question to everyone who has young people. Is 8 o'clock late for young children?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little late, yeah. But on
Halloween night?
Halloween night, it's not so late, so. But it is a little late.
I mean, trick-or-treating starts as the sun's going down, and
right.
My kiddo makes it like an hour. You know?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we're usually starting around 6 and done by 7 at the latest, probably 7:15.
Okay.
So
John
Amy,
and I have been going back and forth about if 8 o'clock is too late to howl at the moon for kids.
should we move it up to 7:30?
Will the moon be out at 7:30?
Oh yeah.
Well, we're
check.
it already, but anyway, we don't have to go into a big discussion. Just
yeah, it seems a little. I do think 8 is good. I think that it's a little bit late. I mean, at least in my house, it would be a little bit late so that it would be something special, you know, and different. And we'll also be getting home from trick-or-treating. I think 8 o'clock is probably a good.
And it's Saturday night.
If you've already announced it, let's keep it at 8. It's not so late.
I think 8 sounds great.
We think it's going to be, if it's clear, it's going to be a really bright moon, and it should be pretty visible by that. It rises at 6 on the horizon at 6. That was good.
Yeah.
Do you all think people taking kids out trick or treating? Do you know, either yourselves or others, is it likely or possible that you would go out trick or treating and then come back and have the fire and tell stories? Is that going to happen, do you think, at all? Or is that going to be mostly older folks just doing that on their own?
I was hoping to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Okay. So maybe it could even give a little bit of lag time too, of just kind of decompressing from that and howl after that. Just some relaxing. Okay. Anything else about Halloween?
My Zoom party.
Yes. So I looked at that, Monica. It's it would take technical skills that are way beyond my abilities. And with Halloween, any sort of activity is likely to, there's a decent chance that people will try to bomb it with really awful stuff, like pornography and stuff that had happened to us last spring. And to be able to regulate people at once and interacting, and it's going to be very challenging. It's something I'm not able to do. So to do that, we have to find somebody who has those types of abilities or skills or experience with Zoom. So I put it in our email too, if anyone has that type of ability. I have not heard from anybody, but I think we would have to have that to be able to pull it off. I don't know how to do it. So that's my response, I guess.
Okay, what about Instagram?
Yes, it's on my list. Yeah, I would love to do that, and also a Venmo account too is something we talked about. It's on the list. I think we will do. It's just I got to get around to it, but. So if you know somebody, I mean, I was talking with Amy about this. I feel like if somebody people who use Zoom a lot just would know this stuff easy. But if you don't, it's very complicated and the stakes are very high. It's just very vulnerable to being attacked. So if you know of anyone, or if anyone on the board knows of somebody with that type of skills, because it could be a really cool experience. I think it could be really good, but it's just a very high level of technical ability that I don't have. So if anyone does know of somebody, maybe connect with Monica, or Monica, if you know someone, we still have a week, so it's, we still have some time. But we kind of need a Zoom ringer to help us out. Sorry, I'm not able to do that.
That's okay. No worries.
Is there anything else about Halloween? All right, we're almost on time. So, Eric, I think you're from UNE?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'll just, if you maybe could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Zach, for inviting me to this meeting. And by the way, I like your logo. It's It's really, really nice. I like the
Go
whole
for it, even though that's a cat on a leash.
Yeah. No, I like the play on the buildings and the people. That's great. It's a good neighborhood view of Deering Center. So, but appreciate you guys having me on. This is something we've wanted to do anyway. And Zach kind of prompted it. So today, I just want to kind of go over some of our plans. It kind of got vaulted to the front with the whole Alphon Foundation gift that we just received, a little bit faster than I thought it was going to. But you know, it's better now late than never to kind of tell you what our plans are, which are very, very conceptual at this point. We received this $30 million gift from the Alphon Foundation, which was very gracious. They've been very supportive of UNE in the past. This gift is going to be given to us in increments over the next year. But it doesn't get us fully into where we need to be with the funding that we have for plans. So we're going to be about another $40 million short of our goal to implement any of our plans. So we're right now hitting the road hard on fundraising. The tough part of fundraising right now is, of course, the COVID situation. A lot of folks are just not able to provide any support like they have in the past. So there's a lot of unknown about our timing with our fundraising. But we are making strides. We have started and are working with the city of Portland on several items. One of the items that's happening as we speak, and we've been working with the Portland planning department, is the institutional overlay zone. And I'll explain a little bit of what that is. The city of Portland over the years has identified 4 institutions that have struggled in the past of doing projects. Maine Medical Center, Mercy Hospital, USM, and UNE. We're located in very unique areas. The Portland campus of UNE is actually located in 5 zones. So we're within 2 residential zones, 2 industrial zones, and 1 business zone. And every time we do a project within a zone, educational institutional uses are not written into those zones. So we have to actually go for variances every time we do a project. Those are very, I wouldn't say restrictive, but very, you know, it takes a lot of effort and time to work through everything. So what the city has done and worked with us on is to create this institutional overlay zone, which will kind of take and lay over a zone within our whole property and give us the ability to create the framework for doing future developments so that we don't have to go back to the drawing board every time we do a project. Now, this process will allow the public, it'll allow the city to have some input with us on how we build that framework. And UNE's standpoint on this is we wouldn't do anything different than what we have done in the past. We are going to create the zone based on the zoning that we've had to follow anyway. So, you know, we're not going to build 6-story buildings. We're not going to build, you know, right up to property lines. We're going to continue the way that we've had, we were mandated, or ordinances had us follow anyway. So it's just a matter of just getting this set. Now, Maine Medical had the same thing. They're the only one of the 4 that have actually had their overlay zone completed and approved. They did theirs before they started their large projects that they're doing now. They ran into a lot of different problems than what UNE is going to. They had a lot of issues with like helicopters and noise and wind and you know, tight, narrow streets within areas for construction. So ours is going to be more of the typical, you know, what type of building we're going to build, the concerns from the neighbors. And we all know that our biggest issues will be traffic and parking. And it's been that way for a while in Portland. So again, we're going into that process right now. Some of the things that we have to do for the overlay zone is, again, we have to create those requirements within that zone, but we also have to come to the city every 5 years with a master plan or a master plan update. So to date, we have not done a master plan to show what we feel is coming within the next 5 to 10 years. And that's what we're doing now. We're going to be showing what we think right now is our future. Now, the city has also said, put everything that you think you may have, even if it's going to be a very far-fetched project, because if you don't have it on that 5-year plan, you're not going to build it within the 5 years. So that's kind of where we are right now. It's been a long process. The city has struggled with the Zoom like everybody else has. Our meetings have been kind of not as productive as we wanted to. We've had one neighborhood meeting that I think was not as attended as much as I wanted it to be. But we were able to pull some of the common concerns. And again, those were traffic and parking. So what I want to do today is kind of show you that master plan that we're working on. And if I could share my screen, that would be great.
You should be able to.
Okay. So just to give a little bit of reference, this is Stevens Avenue that runs towards Morrell's Corner. This is Bishop Street. And you guys are down kind of this way to the south.
Can you expand your image a little bit? Is that possible?
Yeah, hold on a second. Is that a little bit better? I'll just have to move it around. Can you guys see it better?
Whatever works best.
Okay. So this is Stevens Avenue. This is the Evergreen Cemetery right here.
Okay.
And this is, I believe, Walton Street. So this is our campus, Stevens Avenue, College of Pharmacy building, Oral Health building, and then we have the historic district of Goddard Hall, Hersey Hall, Proctor, Ledke, Alumni, and Alpinap Library. And then we have other buildings. The Armory's right here. So what we're showing is what we think we have coming for 5 years. Now we've broken these out to priorities. We have priority 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4, the probability is pretty slim that we're going to be doing them. Priority 1, the probability is really high. And one of these is the one that we've gotten some monies from the Alphon Foundation on. So what I'll do right now is I'll kind of run through this and kind of give you an idea of where we're going. So A1 is an academic building. It's the building that you guys have seen some news and information about. It's the, we're calling it the Institute for Interprofessional Education, essentially our College of Osteopathic Medicine. The plan is to move that College of Medicine to the Portland campus from the Biddeford campus. It'll create a true interprofessional educational facility on the Portland campus, where right now we have a lot of traffic coming between the campuses because the College of Osteopathic Medicine is in Biddeford. Our simulation centers are in Portland. So we're constantly moving students back and forth. We want to make Portland the campus for our graduate programs. This building will house all of our medical educational facilities, our simulation labs, our large lecture labs, and a lot of just regular medical labs that, that Biddeford currently has. This building's roughly 100,000 square feet, about 3 stories. So that's probably the size of the armory now, but on 3 stories. We are looking at it to be kind of connected to the armory and down behind the armory. So it would be kind of, if anybody's familiar with the site, there's a parking lot, lower parking lot down below the armory. So that's where we're planning on putting that building. One of the struggles we have is the main National Guard is still, their vehicle maintenance facility is still operational in the back of the armory. Unfortunately, the federal government has had some struggles with funding and figuring out where all that funding's going. Their plan is, the eventual plan is to have them move into a new building down in Saco. But all I know now is that they've finished their design work, but they haven't started any construction. So we really don't know what their timeline is, but we need to find that out fairly quickly, because the plan is to have them vacate and to take over that space. So as far as #1 priorities, this is it. This is the project that we're focusing on now. And let me get back to that project and tell you some timelines on that. I'll talk about priority 2, which is the old S6. So that is our facilities building. So right now we don't have a facilities building on campus. We have this little white building that you see that's stuck in between Alexander Hall and the Innovation Hall, or the Armory. That's our facilities building. The building is in really rough shape. It doesn't have any historical value to the city of Portland, and our plans is to build a facilities building down on Bishop Street, in the Bishop Street lot. It's more appropriate for us to have that facility function down away from the upper campus and out of sight. So that's a priority 2. Along with priority 2 would be doing something with the dental clinic that we have purchased, the one that I believe had a fire in it, that's been vacant for a while. It's 812 Stevens Avenue. Our plans there, because it's disconnected from the campus, is to probably put some office space in there for some of the non-student facing administrative functions. So really probably 10 or 12 people would be occupying that building. But that's a priority 2 for us. Priority 3 would be the Finley Gymnasium. That's located right here. Our plans would be to convert that to an academic space and to follow through with a F1 project, which is a fitness or a athletic facility down on the Bishop Street lot. We have talked a little bit with some of the city of Portland officials and stuff, and talked about maybe the potential of partnering and making this more of a community center. So, have a gym, potentially a pool, open public time periods where this could be used. So that's some of the things that we're talking about to kind of bridge that gap that the community is looking for. So that's a priority 3. And then some of the really low priority stuff that the possibilities or the probabilities are pretty low, is to potentially have another smaller academic building next to the art gallery. And then potentially, and we don't have any real need or any desire, but to build a potential housing, like a graduate housing apartment building on Gulliver's Field. We don't think that's really something that we're going to pursue. There's enough housing in the Portland area to help to house our graduates, and it really hasn't been brought up as a need by our graduates. But again, we have to show this on our master plan of any potential. So I do want to go back to A1 because that's where our focus is going to be over the next several years. Again, our funding is we're not even halfway where we need to be with our funding. We still have to get through the zoning overlay zone process. We still have to design the building, and we also still have to permit the building, and then we have to build it. So as far as timing and if all the stars aligned, and we were talking about it today in our office, and we had permitting started, the design started, we're probably at least a year to year and a half away before this project even starts. A building of this size is probably a year and a half to 2 years for construction. And you know, that's if everything aligns. So we have a long way to go. And the funding is one of the biggest things that we're facing right now on that.
Can I just ask you a quick question, Eric?
Sure.
If that ideal timeline did happen, you know, I know that there would be kind of built-in community or public meetings. So again, just assuming that, say, a year and a half till you start, when do you have a sense of when those types of that type of kind of official community engagement would actually begin? What that would look like?
Yep. So it starts now. Now that the cat's out of the bag. So you know, our plan is to reach out to communities like you guys and your associations like you guys. We've had discussions with the folks on Mayfield Street. We've had, like I said, we had our first neighborhood public meeting on the overlay zone back in June. We're going to have another one after our submission for the overlay zone goes in. That it will probably be in the January timeframe. And then that's the overlay zone. That only sets the parameters and the framework. And again, we're not changing framework from what we've had in the past as far as ordinances and zoning restrictions. Then we would go to site plan review. That's the timing where you would have more public meetings. The city planner would be involved. The city, all the city, you know, the code enforcement office and all of those guys would be involved. We are required to do workshops for that site plan review. So those would probably be, I would say probably about 6 to 7 months from now is when that would happen. And again, that's if all the stars align. And then that would be the period where we have the ramp up of the community engagement input. You know, that's when we would tweak designs based on, you know, input that we get. That's when we have to do our traffic demand study. So with this project and every project that we're going to be doing, the city's going to require us to do traffic demand studies. So what that means is literally mapping out what the traffic patterns are currently, mapping out what the traffic could look like with the added amount of folks that would be in this building, where they're parking, where are they coming from. We've done extensive research on surveys about where students would be driving in from. Are they coming from Brunswick? Are they coming in from Gorham? Are they coming in from Saco? What route would they be taking? So those traffic demand studies will have to be take place for every project. And then again, the parking part of it too. We have had some discussion with some of the neighbors right across the street, kind of going towards Forest Avenue, about some of the streets that are still public parking on the streets, and how to help alleviate some of the load that's on those streets. We offer permitted parking on our upper campus and our Bishop Street lots. But you know, like everybody else, if they're coming in and they see the easiest parking's right on the street, they're going to take that, you know. So we're working with the city on that and the community around there. So those are kind of the high level overview of what we have, our thoughts are for the Portland campus.
Thank you, Eric. Why don't we don't have a lot of time left, but we could open it up for questions or discussion. That would be good.
Yeah, and I think Zach had mentioned that, you know, today I just wanted to kind of give you guys a first look at this. And by all means, if you guys want me back, I'm willing to come back to whatever meetings you have. And as we start to get more detail on the new building, the A1 building that I'm showing here, I'll be able to answer a lot more questions about, you know, what the building looks like, how many people are going to be in there, you know, those things.
Hi, I just want to ask Eric a question about the community center.
Yes.
Going to be on Bishop Street. Can you just tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so our thoughts right now are our Finley Gymnasium is essentially just a basketball court. We do have some a fitness area with some weights, and they do some classes. I'm not sure if they do much. Well, I know not much right now because of COVID, but I'm not sure if they do much community like programming, like if they have like a Zumba class for community to sign up for or whatever. Those are the things that they're looking to try to bring in into this new facility, especially if we do like a pool or you know, something like that, to be able to open it up to the public, different types of programming.
Okay, yes, because I could tell you, Finley, the community is only allowed to use the gym. There are no classes for the community. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's something they would probably look to expand for the community.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to also add, I forgot to talk about this, but with this new building, we are going to be, this Bishop Street right now is kind of, it's really just a dirt parking lot. We're going to be upgrading that parking lot to a paved parking lot, better lit, more safety, security, and we are going to be upgrading this roadway down. One of the things we heard from the city was trying to keep as much traffic on campus for UNE traffic. So if someone came into this parking lot here and there was no parking, we want to not have them go back out and around, is to be able to transition down to Bishop Street without having to leave the campus. We feel that that's going to be advantageous to try to keep the traffic down at Morrill's Corner.
Other questions or comments?
Is that a road now, or is it?
Yeah. So it's not a very improved road. It's a nice paved road down. But right now, what it does is it goes straight out to Bishop Street. So you have to kind of like go out onto Bishop Street and then over. There's a gate right here. So anybody with like a UNE badge can badge up on it and then go up to the upper campus. What we would do is make this straight into the parking lot. We will have to probably put a gate at the top here because the city does not want the general public to be able to cut Morrill's Corner. It's kind of messy, but yeah, we're just going to try to keep as much traffic on campus as possible.
Maybe a sweetener would be to let DCNA members use that gate.
So the one thing that I do want to let you guys know is I've been in touch with Portland Trails, and because this road really wasn't improved well and it didn't have lights and emergency call boxes, which it will in the future, we are in talks with them to extend walking trail through to Bishop Street. There's also a nice pond right here that we're gonna look to work with them on, maybe doing some loop trails around the pond, and then extend. They've got extensive trails in the Evergreen Cemetery area. Is to extend it through these really diverse. There's so many birds and natural features down in this area here. So that's a plus. We think that's going to work great for us, and we're definitely going to be putting it in our plans.
Dennis?
Yeah, hi Eric, this is Dennis. As the neighborhood organization, we appreciate the workshops and the community meetings, but what typically happens is there's been a lot of water under the bridge by the time that happens, and the neighborhood's opportunities are really about tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
What are the opportunities for a neighborhood to be at the table from the beginning when the framework of the institutional overlay is really crafted, so we're not coming in at the 11th hour and hoping to make some tweaks about that?
Yeah, so the next, I think I had mentioned probably in the January timeframe. We don't know exactly when the submission's going in. We got some things to work on there. That workshop or that meeting was probably going to be in the January timeframe. That's when we're going to need some of that input prior to finalizing that regulatory framework. So what I can do is I can work with you guys and Zach to let you guys know when that meeting is. Hopefully, well, more than likely, it'll probably still be Zoom, but I'll definitely get that out to Zach so you guys can participate in on that.
Well, let me drill down just one a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any neighborhood representation at the framing of the institutional overlay zone that will later come up for review in the January meeting you're talking about? Is there a neighborhood at the table in the framing of it?
Yes, we actually had, so our requirement was there was a certain zone that we had to go out to for our public notices, which went out on the one that we had in June. We had a public meeting in June. That was the one that I had mentioned, that we had probably 10 to 12 neighbors that were in the zone. They were from the Mayfield neighborhood and the neighborhood immediately across the way here, that they came and they were more concerned with traffic and how the impacts of these proposed plans would impact the traffic and the parking. There were some discussions about the regulatory framework on building size and dimensions, but a lot of that kind of was basically discussed that right now, if we weren't going to do this overlay zone, we would still follow the existing zone restrictions that we've had to deal with in the past. So those type of framework issues aren't going to be modified as much as someone like Med had to do that with theirs.
And I can't see people, so just speak up if you have any questions or would like to say something. All right, well, I'll jump in. Okay. Following up what Dennis said, I think we haven't had this conversation yet, but I think I can say we would be interested in trying to really participate with you and participate in this public process. Our border is right up to Walton Street, so it's right kind of there.
Sure.
And Evergreen as well. So I guess I just would like to express that we would like to, and I think maybe we'll engage with our elected officials as well, just to let them know, and so that we can try to be, I'm sorry that we were not aware of it earlier, but hopefully we can have some meaningful input and be part of the process moving forward.
Yep. Yeah, we had Justin and Kim Cook were at our meetings. We actually have had a couple meetings with both of those folks, along with Mayor Schneider and the city manager. We've also had some work, because we know that there's traffic and parking issues. We've been engaging with folks like John Preverata from the city and others, just to kind of, they're the ones hearing it. And we want to make sure that we can get that feedback from them. And of course, the planning department, they're well versed with what we're kind of looking to do and the concerns that the neighborhoods may have with it.
Any other questions or thoughts? And just speak up because I can't see you if you do. Okay. Thank you so much, Eric, for your time, and I'm sure we'll be communicating again. And so thank you so much.
Yeah, so Zach can share my information with you folks. Don't hesitate to email me, and Zach knows how to get a hold of me well now. So just if you guys think of something tomorrow or next week, just throw me an email. I'll answer it as best I can. Like I said, it's really in its infancy right now, and we're trying to work through some of the programming parts of it. It's exciting for us. I think it's going to fit the, City of Portland had their comprehensive plan that really kind of looked to bolster some of the institutional areas in the city, especially with us, supporting, healthcare professionals, the dental medicine, the pharmacy, those folks, the nursing program, that'll all be housed here. And it's important for us to be able to feed those recent grads to the area, So, we're looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
thank you.
Thanks.
All right. We're running a little bit late. I think we're good as far as business goes. Just while I have you here, one quick question. Do we want to do a community meeting about UNE sometime in November, where it would just be basically a public meeting where maybe Eric could present and people from the public could ask questions, hear what we heard tonight? Is there interest in doing that? Or do you think we should do that? Raise your hands if you think we should. Okay. Looks like just use that.
Well, I mean, if this is being recorded and this is going on Facebook, on our page, then people could watch it there, and
they can. That's true. And we could edit it and send it out directly. It's a really good point, actually, Allison.
They can ask questions. That's
right.
Ask questions. That's right.
Yeah. The questions, right.
And he seemed more than willing to it's multiple times. So
I would say it's easy to do, and no one on the board would be obligated to go. Simply soliciting your opinion. Do you think it'd be a good thing for us to do?
I do. I think it's better to be proactive than later be like, wow, why weren't we more involved? Why didn't, and I feel like also it's our job, I think, as the neighborhood association to really make people aware of this stuff and invite participation and let them know we're doing that. This is the DCNA telling you what's happening and trying to organize an event to help you learn more.
Okay. Is anyone, I think I feel the same way. Any other, Dennis, different thoughts or?
Well, yeah, I think the idea of being proactive and getting the information out is essential, but that's only half the story. The other half of the story is us rolling up our sleeves with them, not just reacting to information that they present to us. And I didn't get a clear feel for the paths that are available for us to do that from our recent conversation. But that's really where the work happens, not just the public meeting with this PowerPoint later on, and we get what we are fed. So there's two parts to that story.
Yeah. Does anyone have an interest in doing? I'm guessing there's a lot of documents that have already been submitted to the planning board. Does anyone have the interest or ability to take the initiative to look through that stuff and begin to get some sense of maybe what we're looking at, and maybe so we have different thoughts or critiques? Dennis, any?
I can be part of that. I don't want to be the only person doing it. So I would be glad to work with somebody or somebodies to do that. But yeah, I can.
Bobby, is that hand? I see that. I'll join too. Okay. How about the three of us? Huh?
In November, though.
You're breaking up, Bobby. Just two thoughts, and we got to kind of finish up. maybe shoot for a forum like in the 2nd or 3rd week of November, like a week before Thanksgiving maybe. And maybe that buys us some time to do a little digging and see what we can find out. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, and we'll still have more time to get into the documents and stuff too. I mean, my experience from the outside of planning processes is if neighborhoods get upset about something, we can get some attention real quick. So we just need to get informed, I think. And if there are issues, we can raise them. And I think, I think they'll be heard. We can find ways for them to be heard. Yeah,
very quickly, John, this is also ties directly into the work that is planned for Stevens that goes right along the front there. And there's an obvious question, how is that work, is that work coordinated with this development that's going to be happening? So
great question.
There's questions.
Okay. Sheila?
I just want to say something on a different subject, if that's okay. And I know we're really running over, but what's the process of adding a new topic to the agenda? Could I just briefly say something that I'd like to see on our agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sure.
I could go much longer about this, but next time I'd like to tell you all about an experience that we're having at our home here on Florence Street, where we have a sober house across the street with 16 people in it and probably 10 cars. And we've been just living with it for some years. And then someone just bought the house right next door to us. So our 2 immediate neighbors will now be businesses. We just found out this week that will be in a home for assisted living home for people with mental disabilities. So our neighborhood is zoned as a neighborhood, family neighborhood, single family, or no, just family neighborhood. And not for businesses, but there's the American Disabilities Act. I've been working on this for 3 years with the city. I've sent tons of stuff back and forth, and I've just learned that it's a federal issue. I've written to our senators and representatives. I haven't gotten anywhere, and I'm interested in DCNA, hearing about what this is like, and any of you could experience that, a house next to you being sold and turned into a business. And I just want to say, I'm all for protecting the rights of people with disabilities. And I can go into more detail about how that can be done while still protecting neighborhoods.
Yeah, Sheila, anytime to suggest for the agenda. We won't be meeting again till January, but we can do that. But in the meantime, if you want to put together a communication to share with us, in the meantime, that might be good too, if you wanted to do that as well. But we can certainly have it for the next meeting on the agenda.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. All right, is there any other business? This is our latest meeting ever. We set a record. Are we good? Amy? No idea. You're muted.
You're muted, Amy.
I think we're gonna have to end it on that note. All right, adios.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.